Hey y'all, so I am currently in Atlanta at CultureCon. I'll be vlogging this entire weekend. If you don't know what CultureCon is an event for Black creatives. So they have so many different speakers, entrepreneurs, really everybody coming to share with us how they have built their brands and their businesses from the ground up and giving us some insight so we can do the same. So I'll be vlogging and give y'all some behind the scenes the whole time. So this was the way into CultureCon. There was a row of food trucks, and then once you entered inside, it was just a really chill hangout area where we could hang out before, during, and after CultureCon actually started, because this event was one day, so it was literally all day long. So many people were, hearing speakers. If they weren't hearing speakers, then they were probably outside networking. Of course, there is me in front of the We the Culture sign. So overall, it was a really good experience. I was definitely here for the photo ops. So after exploring a little bit and getting some photos and video content, I went inside to listen to some of the speakers. The speakers at CultureCon, they were really good. However, I will say I was a bit disappointed because I went to CultureCon with expectation that I would be getting practical steps to build the responsible homegirl from the ground up, but I didn't necessarily get that. That doesn't make CultureCon a bad event. I feel like it was very inspirational. It was very motivational. However, I just didn't go to the event for that purpose. But overall, I still did have a really good experience. So let's get into this interview with Kandi. I hope that y'all can actually hear some of her answers because she dropped some major gems.
One of those people who just believed that the impossible could happen. My mom always instilled in me from very young, if you can conceive the thought, you can make it happen, right? So I think at the time when our group first got together, TLC, LaFace Records had moved to Atlanta, my mind, I was like, well, as long as we get a deal, we gonna blow up. It just didn't occur to me that it wasn't gonna happen. I just believed it, and I was like, we just need the right person to hear us, and it's gonna come together, and we gonna blow up just like these other people are doing that thing. Yeah, I love that.
The next clip is Kandi speaking about financial literacy.
My mom, she always was like, good credit is better than money. She always had me, thinking about those things at a very, very young age. I was always good at saving. I would save every dime. Everybody's like, oh, she's so cheap. I used to be a super saver. So when we got our deal, my mom used to just be like, oh, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Because, she was allowing me to go after my dream as a teenager.
Next up, Kandi is giving some gems about networking and connecting with the right people.
I always tell people to network with people who are in the industry that you want to be in. Keep your ear to the streets of what projects are coming to town. Remember, in the film and TV industry, it doesn't matter what look you represent. And that's the cool thing about TV and film. They need somebody who represents every image. Because all the different projects are gonna show different things, as different people or whatever. So if it's something that you really wanna do, I would try to get an agent, but if you're not ready to get an agent yet, there are, performing arts schools, there are acting coaches that you can coach with, which will put you on certain projects, or you will meet other people that you can network with and be like, hey, they're looking for people for this or people for that. It's networking is everything. And that's the great thing about this being the Black Hollywood. And when I say networking, I don't always just mean going to the club. It's okay if you go to a party or two and meet people that way. But, for me, if I see somebody in a club, I may not connect with them. But let's say, for instance, if I see somebody in a smaller setting, in my acting class, my acting coach, and then I see them out there hey, remember we was in the acting class together? I'm like, oh, what's up? Yeah. Or either it's hey, let's follow each other. The first thing you want to do, even if you don't want to get that person's number, now, if you follow each other, we can post together, post a pic, you're in my DMs. Now you can hit me every little moon, don't bug me.
Their greatest failures that they've had, those moments where you just thought you were done, and what did you learn from those moments?
I got a few. I mean, I think a lot of people feel, like I had a friend that was like, everything just work out for you. I'm like, no, it don't. It does not. People recognize you when you have success, but they don't really realize how many things that didn't go right for you to get to that point. So I would say a few things, right? I remember, I'll say with my Fly Above album, right? My Fly Above project I did. When I first came on Housewives or whatever, and I did the song Fly Above or whatever. So that was the first time that I was like, okay, well maybe I'll try to put it out independently or whatever. And I had, my manager at the time, well not my manager, but my manager at the time, sorry. He was like, oh, you should get on this particular tour because, a lot of times when you have big tours, you see the smaller acts that come on in the beginning, right, of the show. Sometimes they're not really getting paid that much, enough to cover for them to be out on the road. So their record label or somebody is investing in them or putting money up for them to stay out there. So Fly Above started doing good, and my project got picked up by a label. Now, we thought that the label was gonna pay the, what they call it, tour support for the project to be out there. So my manager's like, oh yeah, they're gonna do it, you go ahead and get the hotel rooms and get this and they're gonna reimburse you. So I'm like, okay. So we ain't got no hotel rooms, we got this. We a couple weeks into the tour, they still ain't reimbursed nothing. So I'm just like, okay, well, when they gonna reimburse me my money? Now we at the end of the tour and come to find out they say, oh nah, we wasn't planning on paying for the whole thing. So all that money I had put out was just my money. We was well into the six figures. But me, I'm a person who like to plan how I'm gonna spend my money, okay? I had planned for that. And so I was like, you mean tell me I done lost over $100 or some $1,000 and I wasn't planning for this? And it's just like, I went into the New Year's sad. Sad. Like, for real. I was like, oh, this ain't right. So, I was like, okay. I allowed myself to be sad about it for one day. And then I said, suck that up. Called down one. I was like, we're gonna make that money back. So we figured out how to book ourselves for all these different situations. We, made all these plans and set up all these things on our own to make that money back plus some in just a short period of time. But what I'm saying to you, sometimes when, we have a situation that we went in a hole in, we can't let that thing just take us out of there. We can't let it just make us be like, oh, well, it's not meant for me, I can't do it, or whatever. It's just like, no, you have to rethink how you're gonna approach this situation and get that money. And when you get the money, you have to reinvest in yourself and reinvest in your team. I tell you that to say that a lot of times, that was one thing that I feel like I didn't really have control over. Sometimes you be thinking other people know what they're doing, they don't know what they're doing. And sometimes you have to step out on faith, do your research, and just say, I'm gonna take my own thing out on the road. So, we've learned since then how to promote, how to take our own tours. We took our budget tour on tour, selling out in every city. Because we did it ourselves and we figured it out. But what I'm saying is sometimes you think something is too big for you and you shy away from it. When really, some of the people that they hired, you could have hired. Some of them investors they went and got, you can figure out how to get it. You just have to do your research, buckle down, maybe get a couple of partners, but don't just leave it to them to figure it out. Because sometimes these people don't know what they're doing. So trust yourself. Are y'all hearing this?
Yes. So, like I said earlier, CultureCon was an all-day event. I got to the venue at about 8-ish. The doors didn't open until 8:20. and the first panel started at 9 o'clock. So I was, super early, and I was on time. Like, I did not have to stand in a very long line or anything. It went super duper fast, but I was just exploring like the hangout spots, the pop-up shop, the food truck place. They called it Activation Alley, which I love so much. But it was just good. And then I went to get me a seat. Baby, I was on the front row, and most of the speakers throughout the day were set up panel style, unless they were like creative geniuses like Kandi, Ellis. Y'all, he is fine in real life. I'm Team Lawrence forever, okay? Who else had their own like solo thing? Stacey Abrams. It was some other people. They're probably not coming to my mind right now, but anywho, you had people that had the stage by themselves, and then you had others who were like panel style. And most of the stuff that they were saying were really things that I have heard before, honestly. I feel like an overarching theme was be your authentic self. And that is super duper important, because the time that we live in right now is so easy for us to see what everybody is doing because of what they're posting, what they're putting out there. And it can be easy to fall victim to copying what somebody else is doing because they found success. But there's so much power in your uniqueness, power in your individuality. So I am happy that they expressed that over and over and over again, to be your authentic self. Like I said before, though, I do wish there were more practical things that, creatives could have came there and gotten, like, do XYZ. This is how you get brand partnerships. This is a contact. This is somebody that you should reach out to. I feel like it still left me with questions. Still left me in questions. Yeah. But let's get back into some of these speakers.
No one is going to believe in you more than you're going to believe in you. And when I thought partnering with investors, I'm like, okay, they're going to believe my idea. They're going to take me to the top. And really, I needed to just have more faith in myself, knowing that if I stayed the track of my journey, I will take my own self to the top. So I literally went from having a $2.4 million company where I felt like I was super successful, lost it all, and then 2 years later, started a branding and marketing firm, and that company made $60 million that year. So you just have to believe in yourself and truly know that you got it. Like, every single day, I have 25 employees that work in my office, and I love my team to death, they know it, but I will walk in that office if there was no one there. When I had nothing, I walked into that office confident that I would get it all back, and I did.
Yeah. This next clip is from Rashad and Troy from Earn Your Leisure. They are talking about building a unique brand. Hearing them on stage was such a full circle moment for me, because I used to listen to EYL heavy during the beginning of my personal finance journey, and they were one of the few personal finance content creators that really inspired me to create the Responsible Homegirl. So listen up. I hope you enjoy.
And I always look at it like everybody's going to go in one direction. You go in another direction, because that's going to separate yourself. So even the way that we dress, the way we talk, how we deliver the content, all of that was done intentionally, because at that time, everybody in business had to wear a suit. You had to talk a certain way. So it's like, all right, well, everybody's in this field, nobody's in this field, so we wide open for ourselves. And that was real important for us to be original. And I feel like originality is something that a lot of people lack. Creativity and originality is something that a lot of people lack. And you really can't even put a value on how important it is, because that one idea that nobody else has is gonna change everything. And then the consistency, that's something that most people don't have either. And the discipline and consistency is something that, that was always a part of our lives forever. Like, for me, I played sports my whole life, so I always understood the discipline and consistency. So it's like, for putting 3 posts on Instagram every single day, that might sound easy, but that's not easy. Like, that takes hours. And it's like, a lot of people quit after 6 months or a year. They're not seeing the traction. It's hard. It's easy to post when you got 1 million followers, but it's not easy to post when you got 200 followers and one person likes it. The content is just as good as somebody with 3 million followers, but you don't have the audience that they have. But the consistency, the originality, and then just building the relationships. And that's like the third part of that triangle, like originality, consistency, relationships. And that's kind of been, our pyramid.
Yeah, I'll just add to it really quickly. Like, what he talked about is very important because when we started, it wasn't a money play. We never realized that was going to be a business. Our main goal was to add value. So we always tell people, add value to someone's life. Money will be a byproduct of the value that you add, right? And so every day, consistently, like I know that people in my generation are not getting up to read the articles. So I'll make it my job to do that. Let's send it to Rashad. I know he's going to create magic. Let's put his post up. And the second part was the ego, right? We're black men, right? We've been working together. I don't want that to go overlooked. Like we've come together to work together to uplift our people together. And so if he's doing something when he started his own social media campaign, it was like, all right, if he's going, let's make sure he makes it. Because if he makes it, we're going with him. And so the same thing would happen with Ernie Vigil. It was like, all right, I know my role here. I know his role here. Mike knows his role. Let's come together. Because even in the sports analogy, I always say that, like, we can be the Heat, right? If he's LeBron, I'll be Dwayne Wade, and Mike will be Bosh. But at the end of the day, are we all going to win the championship? Are we all going to the Hall of Fame? If that's the goal, let's go attack that.
That's incredible. That's incredible. Give it up one more time.
This next clip is from Ellis Aka Lawrence from Insecure. For one, before we get started on him, did y'all know that this man was from South Carolina? Like, oh my gosh, can y'all put something in the comment box, do something, because this man is from SC. But anyways, he is explaining how he got started in his acting career, and I think it's really interesting, so listen up.
And this dude was like, you have no idea what you're doing, do you? And I was like, no, but I promise you, if you give me time, I'll figure it out. He reps me for a little bit. I'm a horrible auditioner because I had never taken an acting class. It was really bad. I didn't get a job to go to class and learn as much as I possibly can, and I did. And that ended up, on the back end of that 2 years, I did a workshop, I met a manager, met an agent, started auditioning, ultimately booked the game. And then, I was fortunate enough to come off the game and go straight into Insecure. And fortunate enough to get to be top on it, all I was doing, Insecure. I was listening to the women who were up here talking before, on the panel before, like, being your authentic self and showing up as you every single day is such a huge, huge part of that. Like, yes, you should be a student. Yes, you should learn everything you could possibly learn. You should, if you want to do television and film, for example, you should watch television and film nonstop. You should read scripts nonstop. You should know that Sarita Singleton is a writer and this is the type of show that she writes. So when you go in to audition for her as an actor or you want her to read a sample of yours, you should know the type of material that she is used to producing and not just blindly throw your multicam comedy at her, because that's not what she does, right?
So our last set of speakers are Jada and Santana, and we all know that they are trendsetters. They have major influence within the culture. So I want y'all to hear what they have to say about receiving negative feedback, building their brand, and so much more.
I had to go back to the drawing board and do a rebrand. So it's okay to start over. It's okay to rebrand. It's okay to fix some mistakes that you had in the business because it's all about evolving and growing. So I had to definitely take in all the negative feedback because it's hella positive feedback that I see all day, but like the negative is what I work on, So like tall girl friendly, making my clothes to where everybody can wear them, short girls, tall girls. So I just have to go back to the drawing board, and I really feel like it's okay to rebrand because a lot of people do feel like, well, I don't want to keep switching it up, but it's okay to switch it up. Change is good, and that's just my thing. Like when it comes to my business.
Yeah, I want to know. I isolate myself and just get in my bag. Even with comments, I already had to learn at 17 when I started wearing nails and makeup with a beard and lashes. Yes. Going to the store and the kids like, so I just already had new tough skin anyways, and everybody gonna have tough skin, but just always make sure you take a break from it. Isolate yourself from it. Sometimes I might upload something and not even go look at my comments. Really? And go back and look back at 2 weeks later and be like, Nicki Minaj coming out of there? Or Doja Cat? I didn't even see that because I was like, bro, I don't even feel like that. I'm posting my picture, I look cute, I'm feeling it, boom, let's go to the world, and that's it.
So that is a wrap for the CultureCon 2022 vlog. I hope you enjoyed it and was able to take away something from the speakers and my personal experience. Make sure you share this video with your homegirls and your homeboys because I want you all to know how important it is to put yourself in the room. It is so critical to build new relationships, meet like-minded people, because you will never know who you can help and who can help you on your journey up. So like I said before, I hope you enjoyed this video, and always remember, with exposure, execution, and consistency, there is absolutely nothing you can't do. See y'all next time.